guys, Heidi Foy here with Bullfrog Creatives coming back at you for our countdown to the CNFR. It is getting real. Like the countdown is in single digits now. They're moving dirt in. What? I got hair poking out. They're moving dirt into the Ford Wyoming Center today, tomorrow. I know the setup crew is in town. Listen, I'll be honest with you guys. I planned on being up there, but my car needed new tires, so I'm stuck at the office. That's a little real life for you. So we are live today we're almost to the end. We do have to come back up in the alphabet and pick up a region that we missed because of a Memorial Day and a little holiday in there. But we are meeting with the Southwest region, faculty director and student director. And the faculty director that we're going to talk to today is also the faculty president. So you guys are not going to want to miss this conversation. Say that fast. It's really hard. We are airing on the NIRA official Facebook page, official CNFR page, as well as Bullfrog Creative. If you guys are following one of them, but not the other two, I would highly encourage you to go and follow and like and do all those wonderful things. I can tell you that the official CNFR page is going to be posting tons of content during the finals. So tons of content, tons of interviews. The NIRA page will probably be sharing all of that. Maybe we'll have some other original content, but listen, where it's at is going to be the official CNFR page. And if you guys are looking for outside the arena content, maybe some special interviews in the morning in the parking lots during the Slack, you're definitely going to want to check out Bullfrog Creatives. I have a tendency to just walk around the parking lot and ambush people. It's really fun for me. Sometimes it's not very fun for everyone else. But what do you do? Can't make everyone happy. You guys, stay tuned. We've got a great lineup today. All right, so joining me today is Lou Rust, who is the coach at Ranger College, and Wyatt Crandall, who is a student athlete at Ranger College. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I know that something like this is not always on your to-do list, so I appreciate you taking your time out and being here with us today.
Of course. Glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
So, Lou, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Okay. Can you talk to me a little bit about, we've met 99% of our other faculty directors. What sets you apart and your duties apart as the faculty president?
I think one of the biggest deals that we face is our numbers. We have about 650 members. We've been having 600 kids at the rodeos. One of the largest regions in the United States, and I think that's one of the big deals we face. A lot of our stock contractors have gone up on prices and have changed the way we do things. They instead of half enough cattle, they bring a third enough cattle, and it's just everybody in our region is trying to find a faster way to put on a rodeo, but there's no way to put on a fast rodeo with 560 kids entered.
Right, for sure. So did you guys see a big decrease in those numbers, and have you rebounded, or are you still rebounding?
We haven't had a decrease at all. The only thing that fell off was maybe 50 kids from the fall to the spring, but we've had no decrease in our number of kids.
I know that and maybe this separates you from the rest of the pack, but I know after 2020 there was kind of an overall decrease in the membership numbers. Did you guys not experience that?
Well, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I think when the Western region closed down and the Northwest region closed down and didn't let them rodeo, I think a lot of those kids came to Texas.
I think you're right. I mean, we actually talked about that when I met with the Northwest region. They talked about how their numbers went down and they're kind of having a hard time rebounding. So I think you're right. There are some areas that definitely didn't. I mean, some areas that locked down substantially more than others, and that's probably where you guys fared well.
The Arizona and New Mexico region really locked down, and we got a bunch of those kids because those schools weren't getting to rodeo. And we did get lots of kids from the Northwest, and we got several from the California region.
Perfect. Well, I'm happy to hear. I mean, I think based on my conversations, it seems like the general consensus is that everything is starting to rebuild and starting to get caught back up with those numbers, and maybe even perhaps surpassing some membership numbers that we've seen in the past, which I feel like speaks well about the organization and kind of the future that the organization has. I know it was a little scary there for a little while.
Yes, ma'am. I think numbers are coming back. I'm waiting to see what this economy does to it, next year. But our numbers are growing, and just every year they're growing. And in our region, and the competition makes the competition real tough.
Yeah,
But,
for sure. So
it's exciting.
Talk to me about your region. What colleges are in your region?
So
That's a
we've
trick
got
question.
five 4-year schools. I should have had a notebook with me.
I
5
was gonna
4-year
say,
schools.
I
We've
can pull
got
it up.
Tarleton State University. We've got Texas Tech University. We've got West Texas A&M. We've got Eastern New Mexico at Portales, and Alpine, Texas, which is Sul Ross. So those are the 4-year schools. And then we've got Ranger College, Weatherford College, Cisco College, Big Springs, which is Howard College. We've got Odessa College. We've got Vernon College. Help me here, Wyatt.
I'm impressed.
New Mexico
Yeah, when I'm
Junior
looking at
College.
it, I'm impressed.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Hobbs, New Mexico.
Snyder, Western Texas.
Snyder, which Western Texas. There's 16 schools in our region, and 5 of them are 4-year schools, and the rest of them are junior colleges.
Yeah, so I'm scrolling through the collegerodeo.com page, and I don't think you missed anything. I feel like we did kind of leave you out, hang you out there to dry, though. I'm impressed. So, indeed, you mentioned that it's the largest region. For sure, it's the largest region, and like we talked with the Northwest region, and then who else? The Ozark region has a lot of colleges that have to travel very far. Has there been any, or do you think there ever will be any conversation about like redistricting? I don't even know what you would call it, but kind of moving some regions around and some of those lines around so that it's a little more even territory, or is that even really a thing?
It's been mentioned, and it even came up at our winter board meeting there at Vegas, and it would be a long-term study to do it. It's not something that the NRA would just be interested in just jumping in and doing.
Yeah.
That Eastern region has their schools are more scattered out. There's less rodeo schools per capita over there, and their schools are more scattered out, so they travel more.
Yeah.
I think the Central Plains region and us are about the same for how far we travel. Our furthest rodeo is 6.5 hours from me. I think there's several rodeos in the Central Plains that go to 8 hours. You go out to western Kansas and up in the northeast Kansas corner. The Oklahoma guys have to go up there. So I think some of those are 8 hours. But I don't look for them to change those regions. The 2 of the schools in our region that if the guy was to shift it around were the 2 New Mexico schools. Some people have mentioned them going back to New Mexico and Arizona, but one of those is the original school in our region. Eastern New Mexico was one of the 5 original schools that started the Southwest region. And so I don't think there's any way we can ask them to do something different. And
Yeah.
I'm satisfied. 5 or 6 years ago, Central Plains region was the biggest region in the United States, and it goes back and forth. I think we're on a graph going up, and I think it'll roll over, and some of those kids will go back home. I don't look for them to change the regions, but it would be a long-term study. They'd have to make some rule proposals, and then they'd have to sit down and study the regions and how they want to change them. It's not something they're going to do before next year, for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I rodeoed in the Big Sky region, and I rodeoed for probably the two outliers in the region. I went to Northwest College, which is in Wyoming, the only Wyoming school to go up to the Big Sky region. And then I also rodeoed for the University of Montana in Missoula. So both outliers, you know, everything was far away from Missoula. Didn't matter where you were going. But, you know, you kind of have to take a look. If you put Northwest College in the Central Rocky Mountain region, then you're looking at driving clear across the state of Wyoming, halfway through the state of Colorado, and over into Nebraska and that kind of stuff. So I think that I agree with you. Those types of things are not a snap decision. It's definitely something that has to be looked at.
Yes, ma'am, I think so. And, you know, at the board meeting, it was mentioned and we discussed it just a little bit, but there's no proposals made or anything.
Yeah.
And so I don't look for anything to happen in the next year or two.
Okay, perfect. Well, I appreciate that conversation. I think there's, you know, if we have avid college rodeo fans out there, which I'm sure we do, traveling or following these profiles, you know, they may have those same questions. So, well, Wyatt, let's talk to you for a little bit. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What year are you in school? What are you studying in school? And what made you want to become a student director?
Yes, ma'am. I'm originally from Spanish Fork, Utah, and I came down here to Ranger College with Lou Rust, and I'm a sophomore. I was a sophomore this past year at Ranger College. I'm going to be heading to Tarleton State University next year, and I compete in tie-down roping, team roping at the college rodeos. And I to become the student director, I think it was mainly just to have someone that represents the region good and someone that can understand what both ends of the arena, the problems are, and who they like and who can actually have a voice for them in some particular problems.
Yeah, for sure. So we've talked about it. I bet I've probably said the same thing like clockwork every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but National Intercollegiate Rodeo is separate and different from intercollegiate athletics in that the student athletes have more of a voice than in college football or college basketball, which I feel like, I don't know how it would work in those sports, but with this governing association and being built by the student athletes that are there to compete and they're going to school, and the faculty directors, the makeup of it is such that it's your organization just as much as it is just the NIRA. Does that make sense?
Right. It's such a more like tight circle rather than other sports, I feel like. And you know everybody at the rodeos. I feel like in college football or anything, you don't even know some players on your team.
Yeah.
And so it's just a lot more tight circle and everyone wants the same thing and kind of you come together and figure out problems and settle them.
Yeah, for sure. I know that, and I would also add, it's not just that, and I don't know that we've talked about this, but I know when you serve as a student director, it's a lot of work. I mean, you not only have to worry about making sure that your sponsors are represented in the flags and the banners, but also making sure that you're representing the voices in your region at those, you know, you mentioned the winter board meeting. There's going to be another board meeting at the college finals. So y'all are going to be here. We talked about this. The board meeting starts Thursday, all day Friday. So there's extra work that is involved with that. Not only do you have to keep your grades up as a student athlete, but you have to do this extra work on top of your going to school, keeping your grades up. Some of you guys have jobs during the school year. So this is a big job. And in return, you get an extra year of eligibility. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So
Yep.
That's kind of your bonus, I suppose, is that you get a little bit more, one more year of eligibility, whether you are using that as a student director or not, or if it's one more year after your student director. I'm not sure. I think it depends on what year you are in school, I suppose.
Right.
But that's kind of your payback, I would say. So let's talk about what are you going to school for?
I'm gonna go to school for veterinary science, be a large animal vet. Yes,
so intense. It's not like you're, you know, doing nothing in school. That's going to be really intense for you.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of school, a lot of work, especially trying to keep 5 Horses Road every single day and trying to make sure we're practicing and being able to compete at these rodeos. I mean, you can't just show up and be roping once a week and try to win at these college rodeos. They're tough, and so you got to have everything straight and time manage and get classes done and just keep roping.
Good for you, man.
Thank you.
Good luck. I assume you'll start your program at Tarleton, or have you already started some of the program classes?
Not quite. I'll start my program classes at Tarleton and then have to go to vet school after that. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. And then have to go to vet school after that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Man.
a lot of work, but
Well, kudos to you. You are truly what college rodeo is all about, I would say. Using something that you're passionate about to help you continue your education, which I truly admire you for that. So
thank you.
thank you so much. So, all right, let me make sure we're on the right page here, and I will get some results up, and we can buzz through the Southwest region and see who is doing what. Oh, usually I have this already, but I changed tabs. All right, so coming in the men's team, who wants to talk about this?
I'll
Both of
talk
you,
about Greg in Western Texas College. They had a super set of bareback riders this year, and they had some really good bronc riders. And then I think they've got 2 bull riders qualified at the college finals. I think nearly every one of their boys are rough stock boys, and those guys have placed over and over all year long. And from the very start, they took the lead in the region, and nobody's caught up to them. I mean, they've been a very dominating force this year.
That's really interesting. Oh, I got a good echo. Can you guys hear that echo, or is it just me?
Yeah, I can hear it.
It's just you. I think I can. You hear that? I can.
Is there somebody in the room with you, Lou, that's watching it on Facebook?
No, unless Donna's watching it in there.
That might be it. Oh, or if you guys have any other tabs open, maybe close those out.
You're not watching
Sometimes
it, are
you
you?
get some feedback. It's kind of weird. But what I was going to say is, oftentimes you hear coaches kind of, I don't know, strategizing on how the makeup of their team should look in order to win a national champion or even a regional championship. And oftentimes you really have to have a combination of rough stock and timed event. And so it's really interesting to hear that this is a more rough stock oriented men's team.
Yeah, it's a little different, but once they get to the college finals, nearly all the events are the same in numbers. But
Right.
when you're at the regional level, the bareback riding will be the lowest number of entries at the rodeo. The bronc riding will be second. And, he just put together some really, really good rough stock boys, and they've just dominated and placed all year. The next 3 schools are, I'd say, more evenly covered. They're going to have some of everything. They're all in the 3,000s. He was up there at 5,000 points, and they're all in the 3,000s. Tarleton, then Sul-Ross, and Clarendon. Clarendon probably leans a little more to having more rough stock boys than the 2 middle schools, I think. Mark's got Peyton Bray coming, and he's got a couple of bulldoggers in the team roping and a couple of bulldoggers coming, and then probably 3 rough stock guys. So, each coach, I think the main thing about it is some coaches rode bulls or broncs in college and then in the RCA, and some coaches did timed events.
Yep.
And I think the kids know that. And so I think the kids go where the rough stock rider coach is, and the time event kids go where the time event coach is. And so that separates it just a little bit. And then we struggle and fight to try to get, like for me, I always bulldogged and roped calves and team roped. And so I really struggle and try to recruit a few rough stock boys, because all the kids know what I did for when I was rodeoing, So I think that's a big part of it.
And I would add too, outside of that number 1 hole, the numbers are fairly even in the next 3 positions. So it's fairly evenly
Yes, ma'am.
matched.
They were all close. They were all close together. It was a battle right to the end. I'll promise you that.
All right, women's team. Wyatt, you're real hard to keep get anybody a word in here, bud.
Lou's doing a good job. He's usually not this talkative.
Well, now it's your turn. Let's talk about the women's team.
Yes, ma'am. Texas Tech, they had a great group of girls going. They had some really extremely tough goat tires and as well as breakaway ropers. Caitlin Miller was really strong all the way through. She could win all around all year long, and they had great everything. I think they were really strong in the barrel racing too. They had some good barrel racers, and as far as that. Weatherford College, I think Johnny does a really good job with these girls, and they're extremely tough in the goat tying as well as breakaway roping.
And again, super close on points.
Right, yeah, it was really tight there to the end. Texas Tech had a really good Stephenville rodeo, I think, as well as Weatherford, though. They have Brady Good, and she's a really good barrel racer and breakaway roper, so it was tough all the way through.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep rolling down. Men's all around. Lou, you want to take this one?
Yeah, well, Weston went to the college finals last year, and I believe in the bronc riding. He might have gone in the bareback riding too. And so he's a sophomore. He's a mature boy, and he places real regular in 3 events. He rides broncs, rides bareback horses, and he still wrestles really, really well. And he actually made the short going all 3 events at a couple of the rodeos this year, which is pretty rare. You know, he's really talented. Tristan Hutchins rode bulls, rides bulls really good. He's really been doing well at the RCA rodeos this year, and he bulldogs good too. And he just placed a lot in both events. Chance Thiessen is a really super tough calf roper. And then he came on and he heads really good too. So his 2 events were calf roping and team roping. And he placed a lot in those. All 3 of those boys could win all arounds at any RCA rodeo that they go to in the next few years, you know, because they're really tough in all the events.
I know, and I assume that the RCA is your like amateur rodeo association.
No, I'm talking about the PRCA. I'm talking about the
We call it
PRCA.
RCA.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
it used to be called RCA, but it's PRCA. So Weston had a little advantage because he's really tough in 3 events. The other 2 boys were 2 event boys, but they were really tough in both their events, and so they got lots all around.
Still, for that, I mean, the difference between 1 and 2 wouldn't indicate that at all, I don't think. So, you know, Tristan made up some ground there between.
Yeah, it was a battle all year. I mean, you didn't know till the end who was going to win that. But
which I feel like is exactly how it should be. All right,
Weston
women's
did
all
have
around.
a great. Okay, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead, Lou.
I was just going to say at the last rodeo, Weston had a super rodeo, and he made it to the short round in all 3 events again. And so he just accumulated a whole lot of points. And so it was a battle to the end, to the last rodeo.
I'm sure that for the last rodeo, all those boys were wondering if they could pick up something else. What else did I do? All right, women's all around.
Yeah, I guess I can handle this. Caitlin Miller, she's from Utah originally, and I've known her since I was probably 12, 13 years old, and she's been just as tough as she is now. She's won national high school titles, and Jared does a good job with her over there at Texas Tech. She's extremely tough in the breakaway and goat tying, as well as the barrel racing too. She has a nice barrel horse. Brady Good, same kind of deal with her. She's really good. I think she's just a 2 event cowgirl though, does breakaway and barrels. She's really good at both, has nice horses, really can stand up and rope strong, and she does a great job placing almost every college rodeo, I think. Madison Rice, she's just another good Texas Tech cowgirl. Breakaway rope's really good and can tie goats too.
That's great. I think it's, you know, we had a really interesting conversation last week that in order to qualify for the all around, you have to have a minimum of 200 points. So sometimes you might have a few points in another event, but if you don't break that 200 mark, those points don't count towards the all around yet. And that could be the difference between, I mean, honestly, especially in the men's race and even in this women's race, that could have been the difference between first and second for sure.
Yes, and I think that's kind of why they don't pick up other events. They just right at the last minute because it's really
you would have to.
200.
Exactly. All right, saddle bronc riding. Wyatt, you want to take this one too?
Luke can
Go
probably
ahead,
take
Mike.
this one. He's more of Saddle Bronc guy down
All
there
right,
at the
Luke,
other
go
end.
ahead.
Brody Wells is a junior. He was at Clarendon last year, and he was on the team that won the national championship at the college finals last year for Clarendon. And he went on to Tarleton, and so he's super tough saddle bronc rider. He's riding his rookie year in the PRCA this year. And then Damian Brennan's the same way. He rodeos for Greg Rhodes there at Snyder, Texas, at Western Texas College. Super saddle bronc rider. I've seen him on TV a lot at these PRCA rodeos. He's rodeoing his rookie year, and he's been winning quite a bit. Western Peterson, like I said, Patterson last year, he was at the college finals on that Clarendon team. He does 3 events tough, but he rides saddle broncs really well. I actually think he won 3rd in the nation in saddle bronc riding last year at the college finals. So, I mean, those 3 boys are mature. They've already got their PRCA cards. They're already rodeoing hard, going to PRCA rodeos. Brandon Lansford's just right there with them. He rides broncs really, really good for Sul Ross State University. And, he was just barely missed out. You can see he just missed the 3rd place deal by 25 points. He also rides broncs really, really well.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. We talk about these races being so close, and a 25-point difference might seem like a lot, but the points are such that you get points 1st through 10th place, correct?
1st through 6th.
1st through 6th.
Okay, so 1st through 6th. It's a little bit different now than it was when I was rodeoing. So how many points do you get to win 1st place, like in a long round?
60 points.
Across
Okay.
the board, it's 1st through 6th in the long round and the short round and the average. So 1st gets 60 all the way through. And so if you win both rounds in the average, you can get 180 points possible.
So, I mean, that breakdown just kind of goes to show us exactly how close these races are. I mean, if you won 1st place win and you've got 60 points, but, let's say you win the long round and you're 2nd in the short round and you're end up 2nd in the average, you still, split those points evenly. It's just a really, really close race.
It was a really close race. Like, if you look at it, Brandon Lansford could have won maybe 1/3 in a round at the last rodeo and gotten 25 more points easy. 3rd in the round is going to pay for 40 points. So, I mean, it was close. I mean, that was a tough bunch of boys. Cash Wilson down there, rodeoing for Tarleton. He came from Clarendon. He's a junior this year. I'd say he drew bad at the last rodeo, or he'd been right there in the middle of them. He drew a couple of horses that just bucked medium, and he was in the low 70s instead of being up there in the high 70s, and it made the difference from him getting to be up there and get points for him. So those top boys in that bronc riding, they were all really competitive and really tough.
Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, it's not just that you come into the weekend and you have a bad weekend. You might be riding at the top of your game, but if you're in rough stock and you don't draw well, then it just might not work out for you. So there's so many other things than just what you bring to the table. It's your stock. If you are in a timed event, if your horse isn't having a good day and you don't draw right, then there's so many different things that are out of your control, which is also one of those things that just makes it a little bit different than other college sports.
Absolutely. I think, if you're hot at the 10 college rodeos, it seems easy because you're drawing good and you're doing good.
Yeah.
If you're cold and drawing on the wrong end of in any event, if you're drawing on the wrong end of the livestock, you could be making super runs on the cattle you've got drawn or the rough stock you draw. You may be making super rides, but you're still not going to get those points where you can place.
Well, and I would add too, on top of that, which I probably sound like a broken record for those of you that are watching that have heard this over and over, but on top of that, that is why your mental game at this stage of competition is so important. Because if you have 2 bad rodeos and you feel like you're in a rut, but you can't get yourself out of it mentally, then we've got a problem. And at this stage in the game, the talent is so even across the board that really that mental game is what sets you ahead, not necessarily your talent every time.
Yes, ma'am. And I think it really emphasizes in our region, especially because there's so many guys that can do it so well. There's
Yes.
30 calf ropers that can tie a calf in under 8 flat. And so you kind of have to be on the top of the game and drawing on the top just to keep going and to keep winning at this level, I think, in our region.
Yeah. And keeping your mind in the right place. You know, you might have one bad rodeo and you can bounce back, but if you have another one and you draw bad again, like it just becomes this vicious cycle, mentally and physically, because if you're not mentally prepared, then all of a sudden things that you've been doing since you were 12 aren't going the way that they're supposed to. And so that mental game is so, so important. All right, we can go on bareback riding.
Yeah, Dean Thompson, he's another boy from Utah that I grew up rodeoing with since I was about 7th grade, I think. And I've seen him come up from just riding bareback steers to all the way to horses. And these past 3 years, since he's a senior in high school, he goes to Western Texas College out there in Snyder, and they get on a lot of horses and they practice a lot that rough stock, and they have a really good group of guys out there bareback riding against each other. So I think it really makes them better against each other every day out there doing it. Cooper Cook's the same way. I think he's a freshman this year. He's from Idaho. I've seen him come up the ranks. And Kelby, they're all 3 boys are from Western Texas, and they know how to spur broncs, and they know how to make them buck right, and they know how to capitalize and win at every single college rodeo. They blow us away in the standings.
Yeah, there's a majority of those points right there.
Yeah, it was hard to catch those top 2.
All right, bull riding.
Tristan won the national championship at the college finals last year for Sul Ross. He's real mature. He's got his PRCA card and going to all the PRCA rodeos. He placed a bunch this winter at building rodeos. I think mostly his just maturity carried him over the top of those boys, because all of them have talent and all of them can ride good. But he's riding with such confidence right now that it makes him hard to beat. Luke rides really good. Probably didn't cover as many bulls in a row as Tristan. Probably is only the difference. And same thing with Raleigh. Raleigh made a couple of super rides, but those points may be at 3 rodeos or maybe at 2 rodeos. You know, he just didn't ride the number of bulls that Tristan rode.
And how important is it for these guys to come in on a streak? I mean, is this just another rodeo and their minds are fresh and clear, or I mean, is it really important for them to come in on a winning streak?
Well, it's not so much the winning streak as it is confidence. If they're riding good and placing at other rodeos, then when they go to a college rodeo, they just walk in there with lots of confidence. And if they do draw a good livestock, they generally perform well on them. If they haven't been riding good, they've been bucked off 4 times in a row. It's kind of like what you said a while ago. A coach has nearly got to get them in that practice pen, get them on something, show them that they can do it, and then, you know, change their minds and tell them you've just had a little bad luck, but the talent's there. You can ride them. Let's go ride them, you know. But when you're on a winning streak, your confidence gets stronger, and the stronger your confidence is, the more you just go perform your duty. You don't worry about things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I would say, I mean, I think there's a certain level of risk in each event that you can take. And if your confidence isn't there, then perhaps you're not willing to take those little risks. You know, if you have more confidence, then perhaps, listen, I'm a timey, so it's probably going to show. But, you know, maybe you're not going to spur a bull if you have less confidence. If you're coming in and you're on your game, then you're going to take that extra step. You know, so I would like.
You're going to expose yourself.
Yes. I would like.
You're going to expose yourself because you're not scared.
Like in the tie down roping, maybe taking a wrap and a hooey, and not taking that extra wrap. So I feel like as you build your confidence, that momentum and inertia is flowing, and you, like you said, you expose yourself a little bit more, and typically it will pay off in that instance.
Yes, ma'am. That confidence lets you expose yourself a little bit more, and you just get a few more. When you do ride something, you get a few more points on everything you ride.
Yeah, for sure.
Just being on more of the offensive side and not so defensive.
Absolutely.
Especially blowing the barrier back and taking that shot instead of running one down and being I mean, a good run, but not good enough. You can't do that in this region, and it really shows when you don't.
Yeah. All right, tie down roping. I feel like this is you, Wyatt.
Sure, yeah. I'm a tie down roper. That's mainly all I do. I team rope a lot too, but I really focus on tie down roping, and that's what I'm competing in the PRCA. So I know these guys personally, and I rope with them probably 3-4 days a week. So Chance Thiessen, he's one of the strongest guys I've ever met in the tie down roping. He's extremely good on the ground, rides great horses. He's riding an Bay horse right now, and he's extremely well. He dominated the fall rodeos. He didn't do quite as good in the spring, but he was absolutely dominating in the fall rodeo, so it was hard to catch up. Trevor Hale goes to Cisco College. He's extremely good calf roper, really smart, really knows how to win, and with any calf and any setup, he rides probably some of the best horses I've seen. He's got 3 or 4 of them, and he knows how to really make runs and really know how to win, I think. Cash Enderley over there at Weatherford. There's a good group of Weatherford guys over there. They all rope together. Chance Thiessen, Cash Fretwell, Cash Enderley, they're all go to Weatherford, and they know how to rope. And Cash really knows how to, I'd say, blow the barrier back and just take that shot and not be scared to trail wrapping. When he placed it was deep, and he knows how to do it every time. So it's a really good group of calf ropers going right now. Any of those guys right there on that list can place at any pro rodeo, I believe.
Yeah, I'm looking down there at the 10th place man. You know, 1st through 10th there, all those boys on that list can place anywhere they go. I mean, they've got the ability to place.
Well, and I was just going to add too that a lot of times we go through and talk about the top 3 that have qualified in those positions, but a lot of other cowboys and cowgirls are also going to be contestants at the college finals just because of that team piece. So if you're watching and we don't talk about you, or we don't talk about someone you thought qualified, don't freak out. It's just a matter of if they've been on the team, if they qualified on the team, or if they didn't. And I would also, just for a little plug, if you guys are looking for the position draw for the CNFR, it is posted on cnfr.com. So that's where you can really find out who certainly qualified, who came in on the team, and then also what position they've drawn up. Just a little plug there. So
right,
that
like
information
there's 2 guys right there on that list, Braden Rowe and Peyton Bray, that will be competing. And Braden Rowe, any of those top guys, they can all do it.
Yep. All right, we'll scroll down. Steer wrestling.
You know, Walt Arnold sitting second. He's a real mature boy. Went to college finals last year. Ty Aldridge right there with him. Tristan is the bull rider that made it in the steer wrestling too. All 3 of those guys can really bulldog. Those top 2, all they do is bulldog, and they really concentrate on the bull riding. I mean, the bulldogging, steer wrestling. But Tristan is a bull rider first, and then he steer wrestles second. But he's strong, he's agile, he's got lots of guts, and you know, he just placed a lot. Everybody, Zach Hammer from Sol Ross, he bulldogs really good. And, you know, he just barely missed it by 5 points. He's right there with him. He's a big, tall, broad-shouldered boy, can really bulldog. And all those guys, you'll see them in PRCA. You'll see them rodeoing at the pro rodeos. You know, you're already seeing Ty and Walt. I've seen them on TV all winter and all spring. You know, they're already going to lots of pro rodeos. And so that's a big, strong set of bulldoggers right there.
Yeah, for sure. Team roping header. This is where it gets confusing. So if you guys want to talk about the team, that's fine, because then we don't have to bounce back and forth. So however you guys want to talk about it. So let's just explain this. The points are calculated separately as if there are 2 separate events. So team roping header is one event, team roping heeler is one event.
Yes, ma'am.
And typically the first place header is roping with the first place heeler, but not always. It can change a little bit.
Yes, it can. Sometimes they'll switch up partners and mess things around, and then get back with each other, and it'll really fluctuate points.
Yes, for sure. So go ahead, Wyatt. I feel like this one's also yours.
Yeah, Lane Cooper. He's won this region before. I think he's a junior this year for Sol Ross, and he's no rookie. He knows how to win, and he really ropes well. He can, if he needs to track one down and make the short round, he will. But if he needs to be 4 or 5, he's going to do it. He ropes with Blake Bentley. He's really strong healer, and they go to pro rodeos all the time. Riley Kittle, he's a guy from Alabama, I believe. He goes to Cisco College. He ropes with Jace Helton. Jace from California. They're really good healer. Riley rides good horses, and he knows how to win. Kate Smith, another guy from Sol Ross, ropes really well. All of them guys right there know how to rope. Like you said, I think there's some guys listed right there that will be there, not in the top 3, but so it was really strong event, and it came down to the last rodeo. You see Chance Season's only 20 points behind right there, and he has just as good as anyone.
Super close. I truly like to see those close races rather than blowouts, although sometimes the blowouts can be really fun to watch also. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking at. All right, we talked about these guys. All right, barrel racing. Which one of you guys knows the most about the barrel racers?
It's probably Lou Russ.
Jordan Driver, she was a freshman at Howard, but I think she came in with 30 credit hours, so she's a really good student. So she was probably a one-year student at Howard. I understand she's going to Tarleton next year.
Oh, wow.
You might remember her mom, Jennifer Smith. She rodeoed for Tarleton. She went to college finals, won everything at the college finals. They have had Jordan mounted all her life, and she's raised by 2 real competitive parents, and she's just a super top hand. She's tough in breakaway and barrel race and goat tying. Brady went to the college finals last year in the barrel race. I think she made it this year in both breakaway and barrel race. Super well mounted, super tough girl, real competitive, has a real good competitive mind, likes to win. And she comes from a rodeo family that, that have helped her and developed her. And so she's a real tough person. Hadley is from New Mexico. She rodeos for me. Her mom rodeos professionally and trains barrel horses, and Hadley helps her train horses. She did a really good job this year. And, you can see there how close it was. At the end of 5 rodeos, she was sitting first, and then she made a few little mistakes at some barrel races, and then she came back and placed at the last 2 and got right back up there with them. She'll be really mounted at the college finals. I think she'll be just as competitive as the top 2 girls above her. And if you go down that list, you can see the points are pretty close. There's always, out of 150 barrel racers, there's always 15 to 20 of them that are super tough horses, and I would think the top 20 horses in that region win 90% of the points. But those kind of horses are hard to come by, and then it's also hard to get that horse to fit the girl riding him. And so, that bunch of barrel racers coming in there, I think they'll all be competitive at the college finals.
Very good. Breakaway roping. Now, do you guys, it sounds like you see big numbers in every event, but have you seen an increase in breakaway roping?
Yes, ma'am. That's our largest event at our regions. I think there's 180, right, Lou?
Yes, sir.
180
so I think
girls.
It's also the largest. I had these written down. We talked about it at one point, but it's also the largest showing at the CNFR. It'll be the biggest event at the CNFR also.
Yep. Yeah, that breakaway roping, it's extremely tough, especially at our rodeos, and those girls are gunning every single time to be in that top 10. You got to be usually around 2.5, or some rodeos 2.3, and some rodeos 2.7, but there's no room for error, and these top 3 girls really know how to do it. Sarah rides a good horse from Tarleton, and she kind of ran away with it right at the end there. She did really good at Stephenville's rodeo and some of these spring rodeos, but and then Delaney Wood rides a really good red roan from Cisco, and she knows how to really hit the barrier and throw fast and is really competitive. I see her at every jackpot I go to, and she knows how to win everywhere she goes. So I think that's a good advantage for her. Maddie Dearman is another one. She goes everywhere. She just won the Wendy Ryan Memorial roping the other day down there. She's really competitive everywhere she goes, and these top 3 girls, they know how to hit that barrier and throw. So that's kind of what you have to do, especially in our region. There's no tracking over them. There's no safety up. So.
Well, and I will tell you, like, I feel like breakaway roping has always been super entertaining to watch. And I feel like now that there's somewhere else to go, to the next level for breakaway ropers, it's just getting more and more competitive.
Yeah, it's turned up for sure in the past couple of years, I believe.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch now. All right, goat tying. Who's our resident nanny slammer pro?
I'll go with it. Kristen Reeves is a little bitty cat, and she can move. She's fast on the ground. She's just a super athlete, super good goat tire. She goes to school at Weatherford. Caitlin Miller, Watt's already talked to her about her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin's been there either 3 or 4 years, and she's been competitive in all around and in every event she does every year she's been there. Cody Haas, super tough roper, super tough goat tire. Those girls can tie goats if it's a setup where they can. All 3 of those girls up there can tie goats in 6 over and over and over. And Mary Reese and Madeline Shire, those girls right below them. Madeline Shire went to the college finals in the goat tying last year, and she just barely got beat out by 50 points or so. So the top 5 girls in our region, actually probably the top 15 or 20 goat tires, can all tie. Tammy Hutchins down there 9th, she had a real good fall, and then she just kind of went to drawing bad in the spring, and those girls got by her, but she started off really getting after them. Mm-hmm. So those top 3 girls we're sending down there, and then of course Caitlin will be there in 2 events because she won all around in our region, or so that's a tough set of girls there. They can all tie goats in 6s, and that's what it takes at the college finals.
Well, and we've talked about this. I'm going to go ahead and take this down. We've talked about this. I would say, excuse me, team roping, barrel racing, and goat tying are probably the most impacted by the change in the arena size or like the venue. It changes the header's job in such a short and small arena, but changes the goat tire, changes your dismount, changes your barrel racing mindset. So I think it's always really fun and interesting to watch those athletes make those adjustments and come out and still compete at the top of their game.
Right, and I think that's really interesting, especially in our region. We'll go to the biggest outdoor arenas that we have, and then we'll go to the smallest coliseum I've ever been to. It's about the size of the NFR. And so for those girls to win at both of those events or both of those setups, and team ropers, barrel racers, same deal, but I think they do a good job of knowing how to win anywhere and adapt and overcoming any obstacles.
Well, and I think it's really interesting. I assume by that you guys compete in all different sizes of facilities, which I think is good because then it can kind of prepare you for what you have here at the college finals and here at the Ford Wyoming Center. I would, only because I have run barrels before. I know it's a completely different mindset when you're coming in and turning so fast from that from your start to your first barrel. But I imagine that also turning steers in that short pattern and knowing that you have not a lot of space to get that steer turned also changes your game plan.
Correct.
Yeah, it really does, I think. And it's just knowledge and a good all-around horse. There's 2 arenas. There's 2 arenas in our region. They're the exact same size, probably as the college finals, and they run short 14s and long 13s to get back to the top 10 in the barrel race. And the team ropers, they have to adjust. What makes a difference in the roping events in a short arena is if you miss the barrier 6 inches, you're at the back of the pin in a short arena. And you can miss it 6 inches in a big arena and still rope right out there in the middle of the pin. But, your scoring's got to be sharper. You have to be quicker to get rid of your rope. Those girls getting off their timing on their goat tying horse, they just have to really study it,
Mm-hmm.
And because it happens so much faster, you don't ride and there's 4 down the pin before you get off in a little bitty arena. But I think people like to see fast times. The crowd likes to see fast times. And it's just like the NF4, you know, it's an NF4 setup, and the ones that do good will have fast times, and they're good for the crowd.
Yeah, for sure. Well, is there anything else you guys would like to add?
No,
Not
ma'am, I
unless
don't
you've
have
got
anything
something to ask us.
I can't imagine you guys wanting to talk forever.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time so much. I know that you guys are going to be here in just a couple of days, so hopefully I can meet you face to face. I will be running around probably with a camera and a bunch of microphones, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk again. Again, I appreciate you guys' time. I know it's not the top of your to-do list, but it's definitely, we've got some fans that are definitely watching the countdown, and I can't wait for you guys to come to town. So we are, I know as a community and a rodeo fan myself, we're definitely ready to get going.
Absolutely.
We're ready too.
All right.
I'll leave out here
in a few days.
in the morning.
Yes. Thank you. All right, you guys, you heard it here. The countdown to the CNFR, we are in single digits, just a few short days away. Cowboys and cowgirls are probably already rolling into town. Some of them will come in a little bit early to acclimate their horses. Some of them will come in, some of them will roll in Saturday because they're going to other rodeos. So it's just kind of a bulk majority of the contestants have to be checked in. Well, listen, they're supposed to all be checked in by Saturday. The first performance is on Sunday at the Ford Wyoming Center. If y'all haven't gotten your tickets, please go to cnfr.com. I'm going to try to type and talk at the same time. Go to cnfr.com to get those tickets, and make sure that y'all are tuning in. Yeah, that sounds better. To these 3 channels to get all the information, all your CNFR information. And listen, I might be giving some tickets away later in the week, so you guys are not going to want to miss that either. So again, we want to give a shout out to, Lou Rust from Ranger College and Wyatt Crandall, also from Ranger College. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Also want to give a shout out to Cinch Jeans and Shirts. They are our national sponsor of the NIRA and the official CNFR. And also, listen, we partner with them on Bullfrog Creatives. And if it weren't for them, I would not be dressed near as well as I am. That's true. I just laugh because I need all the help I can get. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you on Wednesday. We have got the West Coast region on Wednesday. They're going to wrap us up. We're going to try to get back to the Great Plains region. I'm not making any promises because, as you know, they're going to be in faculty meetings or board meetings on Friday. So we're going to try to catch up with Ron Scholvey on Friday. And if not, then, well, you're just going to have to go to collegerodeo.com and check those out. All right, y'all. Have a good, is it Monday? Ooh, have a good Monday. See you guys Wednesday.
Perfection almost looks easy. But it isn't. Here's to those who go the distance.